grew up in the suburbs in Connecticut, a very affluent town, very picturesque, also quite homogeneous place, sort of like a bubble outside of the rest of the world. I remember my mother used to call it La La Land. It's the kind of town people aspire their whole lives to break into. But of course, growing up there, I thought it was really boring and couldn't wait to get out. And so I did. I lived for many years in New York City until it was finally time to start a family of my own. And my husband and I found ourselves moving back to the suburbs. And this was exciting on the one hand, but I also was a bit apprehensive about moving back. I thought I might be isolated or bored, but in fact, the opposite has been true. I see the suburbs through new eyes now as an adult and as a writer, and they're fascinating. In fact, they're rich ground for my fiction writing. One of my favorite things to do is to drive around and take a look at all the beautiful houses in the area and just wonder who lives in them. Are they experiencing the kind of happiness these houses seem to advertise, these pristine colonials and antique farmhouses and renovated Victorians, the gorgeous, elaborate mansions and estates. And when I'm invited into a house, I like to sort of poke around and see what I can piece together about someone. And what I've learned is that the outsides of the houses may look a certain way, but there's no guessing at what goes on inside, what these people are really like. They're often much more complicated than I may have anticipated. We've been here for 5 years. My husband, Thomas Doyle, is an artist who works in miniature. He creates tiny scenes under glass. And it's funny that since we left the city, I've begun writing more about the suburbs, and he has become more interested in creating little suburban scenes.
The majority of my works have houses in them. They're often sort of pristine, perfect suburban environments, but half the house is torn off, or a sinkhole is open in the yard. They're often kind of fantastic or uncanny. They also have figures in them, but the figures are often oblivious to what's going on, the disaster kind of unfolding around them. They can't seem to see it.
Or maybe they've just gotten used to it, going about their lives with this drastic disaster going on. Mm-hmm. And in a way, I think of Thomas's work almost like a visual metaphor for the writing that I've been doing, especially the stories in the Wonder Garden. And so it made sense that he would create the cover for the book. He created a colonial house to match one of the houses in the stories, and a couple of little people to represent the characters. We both work from home. I have an office with a window looking out onto the road where I can watch neighbors walking their dogs and jogging around, taking walks. Thomas has a studio upstairs with a window looking out the same way. And we just love living here. We're almost like anthropologists of the suburbs, I guess, but also very much a part of them.